Oh, happy day, boys and girls. Welcome back to your next writing lesson. My name is Mrs. Wade. Today, I'm going to show you how to use the plan that we've created to write an actual essay. You're not going to be writing an essay today. You're just going to watch me model how to use my plan to write an essay, and then I do have a task for you to do at the end. So make sure you stick around. The first thing I'll need to do is I need to pull my plan into my new journal entry. So I already have my date here. So what I need to do is I need to go find the plan that I'm going to use, which is going to be my McDonald's plan. And I'm going to show you how to use that to write an essay. So I've copied my McDonald's plan into my new journal entry. Now I'm going to start writing my essay. What is the first thing that you see on my McDonald's plan? In other words, what is the first thing that I should write about? The first thing on my plan is the topic. So I'm going to make sure that I write a topic sentence to start my essay. Now, we talked about 4 different ways to write topic sentences, and I'm just going to choose one of those to begin my essay. The topic sentence I chose to go with is, if you want to feed your growling stomach, then my favorite restaurant, McDonald's, is the place to go. Do I have the 5 requirements of a sentence? And do I have my key phrase, McDonald's? Yes. So this is a good topic sentence to start off with, and it doesn't mention anything that I'm going to be talking about quite yet because we don't want to give away too much information to our readers right in the first sentence. Now that I have my topic sentence written, which tells my reader what my paper is going to be about, I'm going to come up here where it says topic, favorite restaurant, McDonald's, and I'm going to highlight it. I'm just going to highlight it to help me remember that I have written about the topic. Before we move on to the next step, I do want to ask if you noticed something. Did you notice that my topic sentence does not say, I'm going to tell you about my favorite restaurant, McDonald's, or, hi, my name is, or, I'm going to tell you about McDonald's? No, my topic sentence didn't start like that. That's a little boring, and my reader's probably already bored from the very first sentence. So we want to make sure our topic sentence engages the reader. By starting out saying, if you want to feed your growling stomach, that's got my attention already because I know what it feels like to have a growling stomach. It's not fun. So I want to read more about what to do about a growling stomach. Since my topic sentence is done, what is the next thing that I'm going to write about? The next thing I'm going to write about is my first big idea. My first big idea is about food. This sentence should be pretty short and only mention food. I shouldn't mention any of my details yet. And I must make sure that I start out with my transition phrase that I came up with the other day. So my sentence will start out with, to begin with. The sentence I chose to write is, to begin with, the food is out of this world. I started out my sentence with my transitional phrase, and I included the word food because that tells my reader that I'm going to be writing about McDonald's food next. Since I have included my transitional phrase here to begin with, and my first big idea, food, I'm going to go ahead and highlight these 2 things, reminding me that I've already written about them. So now I'm done writing my topic sentence and about my first big idea, but I haven't gone into details about my first big idea. So the next thing I'm going to be writing about are the details that have to do with food. Now, I might have a sentence or 2 about hamburgers and maybe a sentence or 2 about French fries. It's really whatever you're kind of feeling. So I'm going to come up with a few sentences about hamburgers and French fries. Here's what I decided for to talk about my hamburgers and French fries at McDonald's. Take their hamburgers, for example. Did you know they grill them fresh? I know my mom always feels good about feeding her kids fresh food. I also cannot help but savor the crispy outside and soft inside of their perfectly golden brown French fries. Did I mention hamburgers? Did I mention that they were grilled and that moms love fresh taste? Did I mention French fries and the crispy outside and soft inside? Yes. Since I've covered all of my details in my first big idea, I'm going to go ahead and highlight that to remind me that I've already written that in my essay. As you can see, our plan is getting more and more colorful because as we continue to write our essay, we're going to use more and more of our plan. What would be the next thing that I would write about in my essay? If you said our second big idea about dessert, you'd be correct. We are going to be writing a sentence about dessert, kind of like what we did with food, and we need to make sure we have our transition word here. In this case, I came up with in addition. So we're going to start out our sentence with the words in addition, and we're going to just mention that McDonald's has dessert in some way, but we're not going to mention our McFlurries quite yet. And remember, we want this sentence to be kind of short. Our details can get a little longer, but this sentence that introduces our next big idea can be pretty short. The sentence I came up with to introduce my next big idea is, in addition, McDonald's offers delicious desserts. Did I have my transitional phrase? Yes, I have in addition. Did I include the word dessert? Yes, because that's my next big idea. Did I talk about McFlurries? No, because we're going to talk about those in the next sentence or two. I'm going to go ahead and highlight in addition and dessert because they are now included in my essay. The next thing I'm going to be writing about are my details for my second big idea. My second big idea was dessert, and my details are all about their McFlurries. So I'm going to come up with a sentence or two, maybe three, about McFlurries and why they're so wonderful. I chose to write 3 sentences about McFlurries because I just love McFlurries so much. I had a lot to say about them. So here are my sentences that I came up with. My personal favorite is the McFlurry. It is perfectly creamy with the delicious surprise to your taste buds when you bite into the M&M candies that are sprinkled within. Oh, and as a bonus, that ice-cold treat will help keep you cool on hot summer days. So let's go back up to my plan. I mentioned the fact that I like their McFlurries. I mentioned that they were creamy, they had M&M candies, and they keep you cool in the summer. So I've covered all of my details that I came up with for dessert. I'm going to highlight those because they're now in my plan. The next thing I'm going to be writing in my essay is about my next big idea, my last big idea. In this case, it's about the service at McDonald's. And to start out my next big idea, since we're moving on talking about desserts to a whole different topic, but still related to McDonald's, we're going to have our transition phrase here. The one I came up with is last but not least. So I'm going to start out with last but not least and mention service. I'm not going to mention that they're fast or speedy. I'm not going to mention that they're friendly quite yet. That will come after. And remember, this sentence doesn't need to be super long. Just nice and short, to the point. Have your transitional phrase and make sure you mention that their service is good. So what I came up with is, last but not least, McDonald's has all-around fantastic service. I have last but not least, and I mentioned the McDonald's service. So I'm going to highlight both of these to indicate to me that I have both of them in my essay. Now, the last thing I see on my plan that's not highlighted are the details about the big idea of service. So I need to mention that they have speedy service and they have friendly service. So in the next few sentences, I'm going to write about those details. Here's what I came up with. If you are running late or are so hungry you feel like you could eat an elephant, fear not, because McDonald's has super speedy service. When I walk in and I'm greeted with friendly service, I just feel welcome. So I mentioned the 2 things about McDonald's service that I really love. The fact that they're speedy and they're friendly and I feel welcomed. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of this and color it yellow. That tells me that it is now in my writing. Now, I have a pretty good essay here, but we're not quite finished. We do need to add one more thing that's not on our plan quite yet, and that is a conclusion. We're going to talk more about conclusions in a later lesson, but for now, a conclusion just kind of wraps up your 3 big ideas and restates that McDonald's is your favorite restaurant. So let me write my conclusion and then we'll read my essay. Remember, I said for your conclusion, you need to make sure you restate your 3 big ideas and you let the reader know that you love whatever you were talking about. So in this case, McDonald's. So if you want hearty food, a scrumptious dessert, and fantastic service, McDonald's should be your choice. I talked about food, dessert, and service. And I mentioned that they should go to McDonald's because I love McDonald's. And those are the 3 reasons that I came up with why McDonald's is so great. Now that I'm done writing my essay, I'm just going to go ahead and read it all to see if it makes sense to you. Notice the transition words and how it helps you realize that we're moving on to a different topic about McDonald's within my essay. If you want to feed your growling stomach, then my favorite restaurant, McDonald's, is the place to go. To begin with, the food is out of this world. Take their hamburgers, for example. Did you know they grill them fresh? I know my mom always feels good about feeding her kids fresh food. I also cannot help but savor the crispy outside and soft inside of their perfectly golden brown French fries. In addition, McDonald's offers delicious desserts. My personal favorite is the McFlurry. It is perfectly creamy with the delicious surprise to your taste buds when you bite into the M&M candies that are sprinkled within. Oh, and as a bonus, that ice-cold treat will help you keep you cool in the hot summer days. Last but not least, McDonald's has all-around fantastic service. If you are running late or are so hungry you feel like you could eat an elephant, fear not, because McDonald's has super speedy service. When I walk in and I'm greeted with friendly service, I just feel welcome. So if you want hearty food, a scrumptious dessert, and fantastic service, McDonald's should be your choice. Does it sound like each sentence flowed into one another? And did you notice the transition words and how it helped carry the essay along? Yeah, transition words are pretty important. I said earlier that you are not going to be doing this. You are not going to be writing an essay quite yet. We're going to be doing that here shortly though, but not today. Today, here's what I want you to do. You're going to copy and paste a plan that you've created, and it should have your transition words on there as well. And what you are going to do is you are going to create a numbered list of the steps that it would take using your plan to create an essay. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to, below my plan, start a numbered list. So I'm going to come up here and click on the button that says numbered list. When I do that, it automatically puts a number 1. Once you have the number 1 here, you're going to write, what's the first thing we added to my essay? The first thing we added to the essay was the topic sentence. So for number 1, you're going to write the first thing in an essay is a topic sentence. And you don't even have to write it in a complete sentence. You can just shorten it. That's fine with me. So number 1, we're going to write our topic sentence for an essay. What's the second thing you would write in an essay? The second thing you would write is your first big idea with your transition. So you're going to write that as well. So if we were writing an essay today, I would be able to look at your numbered list and follow your steps to write the perfect essay. We would start out with a topic sentence, then we would move on to our first big idea with a transition, and after our first big idea, we're going to go into the details. After we get done writing about the details of our first big idea, what's the next thing we wrote about? Our second big idea. And then we wrote about those details. And then we wrote about the third big idea. And then we wrote about those details. And then to wrap it up, we came up with a conclusion. So you're going to come up with a numbered list for the steps that you would need to do to write an essay. And it's going to look just like this, except yours will be complete. I don't want to complete it because I want to see if you can come up with the rest of the steps. And I'll give you a hint. There should be 8 steps. We did 8 different things to write our essay today. So see if you can come up with all 8 steps on your journal entry for today. Good luck and have a great day.